One of the ones we come across a lot is they had the insurance claim, and by the time they contact the contractor, they already get a check.
So they got a check from the carrier before having someone come out.
So adjuster would come out, issues them a check for the damage, and they say, okay, Collin, I have X amount of dollars to do X amount of work. That's what the insurance company paid me.
Welcome back. My bad.
Happy to be here.
What's the number one struggle in your business today?
Scaling at the right pace and speed. I think you start to get busy and you think, I need to expand, I need to hire. And it's right, but we need to do it at the right pace.
What's scaling look like for you then?
So at the current moment, scaling looks like getting the guys trained and trained faster, getting the right equipment, and adding vehicles so we can be more accessible to clients.
So what's the bottleneck then? What's holding you guys up or holding you up?
Training, we do a lot of different things. Training is not done overnight, and we're teaching attention to detail. So that takes a little while. I'm not trying to rush the training. We want to make sure it's done right. And it's new to me to train different people at their different paces.
What goes into that process?
Honestly, I'll tell the guys a couple of things. Go look up some material so you're familiar with what we're about to do. It'll make more sense. So now when I break it down, we can show you the different parts. We can show you the different techniques. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. So we're going to show you 3-4 things that might work for you. That might not work for me. So it's a learning process.
I like asking this question. I might have asked it when you were on the first time. Where's automation fall into that? Like, can you create a SOP that you did from an automating standpoint that can help with the training?
Yes, I'm in the process of creating the standard operation procedures just for the basics. The first thing you do when you get to a job site, we set up a staging area. We encapsulate where we're going to work at. Just the very simple things. So when we do bring a new person on, we can kind of speed up to simpler processes and get you up to speed. So
again, when I think of scaling, obviously I think of, in simple terms for someone who doesn't know what scaling is, it's growing, right? It's growing. Some businesses do it faster, some do it slower. The scaling for you and your business, obviously you there's a monetary piece that comes with it, right? You want to grow income wise, you want to grow your team, obviously your processes. Where does social media fit in that at all?
Social media plays a pretty big role into scaling, getting your name out there and networking. People are seeing what you do and they want more of it. But it's also helpful that a lot of people that model a business, that have a business model that I like, I can follow. I can see what they're doing from marketing to day-to-day operations.
What are your competitors doing?
I'd say some of the similar things we're on track to do. Marketing on social media seems very big right now across, especially in the trades. You used to not see that so much in the trades. It's aggressive in the trades right now.
Really aggressive. I know a really good, I don't know if you know Tyler Gonzalez. He owns TMG Disaster Solutions, Plumbing and Disaster Solutions.
Familiar,
and he dedicates one whole day for just pumping out content. And then he schedules it out. And some of the stuff is like tips of the day in regards to like insurance claims and stuff like that.
Sure.
Other stuff is like on-site, on-job things that he's doing. And some is just like silly, like funny content where some of that performs really well. And what I think the cool thing about that is it allows his brand to stick out compared to some of the others. Like I won't throw any names out there because I'm not here to say one brand is better than the other, but it definitely sticks out. And it separates him, I think, from some of the other professions that are out there.
It gives you an identity for sure. We're a family business, and we're really big on family. So it's nice for people to understand that and make that relationship with them. And it definitely ties into the branding piece. 100%.
Yeah, social media is going to be, even with ChatGPT. I said this to a kid yesterday. What's today? Wednesday? Monday. God, my days are getting behind me. I said, you can literally program ChatGPT with your brand and your product, your offerings, and people are going to chat for research as opposed to Google, and you can say, all right, where can I get the best quality, remodeling company in New London County? And if you programmed it the right way, it's going to pop your stuff.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I get to monitor metrics. Who's watching my page? Who's watching my videos? Age groups? Is it male, female? Where they live? What are the most likely renovation they will inquire about?
Yeah. Do you get leads from social?
Yeah, I would say it used to be 75% to 80% would come from word of mouth, and now we are getting a lot of traction from social media.
So like organic, like, hey, I saw your page, or hey, someone told me to reach out to you.
A lot of times it's someone saw a picture or a video of something we did. They had wanted that and just never had reached out to a contractor. And boom, that starts the initial. Cool.
Give me a rundown of the different types of work your team handles for homeowners.
So we're a full-scale remodeling company, interior and exterior. The only things I would sub out on jobs would be roofing and large siding jobs. Other than that, we do doors, we do floors, we do windows, we do sheetrock, we do painting, different trim, we do kitchens, we do additions. We work with other contractors, large and small groups, to facilitate whatever the customer's needs are.
You could do stairs. You could put stairs right upstairs for me.
Absolutely.
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, dope. That's something we want to do because we don't have a where we just came in. That's the only way down here through,
so you
through
can't
the
get
garage.
downstairs from the main house.
No, and as the kids get older, we kind of want to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So we might have to I'll give you a call on that. What's one service homeowners don't realize they need until it's too late?
Ooh, I would say gutters are a big one. Making sure water is getting away from your house. Where is it going? Everybody has a downspout that leads somewhere.
Yeah.
Where is that water going?
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest things. Water.
When you are on a job like that, like what's the when you say, or I guess when I ask you like what they don't realize they need, what's the after effect, or what's the risk, if you will, use that from a term of insurance that you're seeing with these homeowners?
I'll start with the water. If you have gutters and you're not getting your gutters cleaned, and you can see simple signs if you look at your gutters that water is running over them, you can look at the ground and you'll see water paths where water goes. Eventually, it'll work its way somewhere, or it'll start eroding enough earth away.
Interesting.
We have that, and another one is mulch is pretty big.
Mulch?
People add mulch around their house every single year.
Like my gardens.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But they don't remove last year's mulch. So one thing we see when that mulch starts to creep up on the siding, we start to see a wicking effect. So the water wicks off the mulch and starts getting into that plywood at the bottom.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I would say the main thing I would be focused on is understanding where the water goes away from my house.
That's good. So just for example, the way they designed this house, they have a filtration. I don't know if it's not a filtration system, but it's a funneling system where they have these pipes from the gutters. So it runs through these pipes and it goes and drains in the back. So is that common now? Or
on newer homes? Yeah, it's very common. But if your neighbor did something and he rerouted water in their yard, you could be getting excess water in your yard now, depending if you're downhill or not too.
Jeez. Water's invasive.
We like to say water's the strongest force known to mankind.
When a homeowner first calls you, what's the number one issue they're usually facing?
Time. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of renovations happen because of something, whether it be someone moving into the house, something breaking, or insurance companies saying you need to do X, Y, and Z, or we're going to drop your policy. So a lot of times it's a time thing. Or, hey, this is leaking.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, for example, I think this house has some plumbing issues. We've been here 4 or 5, it'll be 5 years in January. We already had to change out the water heater, which it seems like that's kind of normal every 5-8 years based off of how they've made it. The AC unit crapped the bed. Not sure how, but it's leaking refrigerant. Actually, you gave me a plug to one of your homies. We ended up getting it not fixed, but it's going to be a bigger project that we're going to deal with next summer. Upstairs, how they designed the bathroom, it's a standing shower, and there's no subfloor under the I think that's what they said. There's no subfloor under the shower. So the caulk will crack from every now and again. We actually did a different type of caulk and it hasn't cracked in almost a year.
Sure.
But it'll crack. And when it does, if you look like on my ceiling here, there's some water spots. So it just comes right down. I remember when we first moved here, I was looking up. I'm like, why is there a bubble in my ceiling?
That's a great one. The caulk being, once every few months, go inspect the caulk and the silicone around those watertight areas. Yeah. If you see signs of it pulling away or signs of cracking, that's something that can use attention in there.
And the tub, I hate to say this, but like, I guess the standing shower, like when you step in certain areas, it feels softer in certain areas in the shower. So we're just waiting for disaster.
Yeah. So and not having a subfloor under there is, it's flexing a lot, but unfortunately it's something we run into.
Why do they do that? Like,
I don't know why that particular one was done.
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense to me. A lot of these fiberglass shower pans and fiberglass tubs, they say you can set without a mortar base. You can put down a fabric of some sort and it should sit on that.
Yeah.
If it's perfectly level.
Interesting.
We like to set everything in mortar. That's how it was done for 100 years.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel
tried and true, right?
Yeah.
So from an insurance standpoint, what's the biggest mistake homeowners make when filing insurance claims? Oof. I could probably answer this one, but I want to see what your thought is.
So one of the ones we come across a lot is they had the insurance claim, and by the time they contact the contractor, they already get a check.
So they got a check from the carrier before having someone come out.
So adjuster would come out, issues them a check for the damage, and they say, okay, Collin, I have X amount of dollars to do X amount of work. That's what the insurance company paid me. And
how is that possible? I guess I didn't realize that they could do that.
They're using, there's subcontractors for insurance companies that only do insurance adjustments. Some of these guys are good. They're ex-contractors. They can do it in a night, get it back to the insurance company. The overwriters, underwriters, they approve it and it gets sent to the customer. And as you as a customer, you just think, cool, I'm going to check for $18,000. That's
but it's
what the insurance
$25,000 job.
And that's what happens. I get there and it's like, I'm going to need more money.
Yeah.
Now I need to get in contact with the adjuster and go back and forth with him.
Subrogate, kind of go through that whole process.
Yeah. That's almost start over.
Yeah. So when that happens, are you finding that the carriers kick back a little bit like, hey, we already did this? Like it's all set, like it's closed? Or they're like, oh yeah, all right, we got it.
It depends how long. If it's quick, they're usually pretty fair to work with. Pricing can be very interesting. They might price a job for square foot prices maybe in Louisiana, but it wouldn't be what you're paying in New York.
Right.
So yeah, you really got to be careful.
Walk me through, just for my own education. I obviously understand replacement cost value versus actual cash value, right? There are carriers that will issue policies on an actual cash value basis right now. And usually that's a person who either owns their house outright, that doesn't want to pay the upcharge for replacement cost. Right now we're seeing homes, for example, we live in a very historic place, and homes built in the 1900s, sometimes 1800s. And when you're getting a quote, or when I'm running through a quote for a client, though the replacement cost value, let's just say a 1,200 like square foot house, the carriers default to vintage material versus more modern material. In this case, let's say 1,200 square feet, vintage replacement cost is coming around 400,000. 1,200 square feet and more modern is probably somewhere around 250, depending on what the per square foot cost is. For a homeowner, or I guess for you in your line of work, I have a hard time understanding, even from the insurance side that I'm selling things, as to like, if a vintage house is going to completely burn down to the ground, the bones, everything is gone, and I'm writing a $400,000 policy, you're not going to replace it with the older stuff as a contractor,
very rarely do I see them do that. If it's a complete loss, you're building modern. You might get I don't want to call it supplement, but
So, okay. So you're saying that,
unless it's a historic district.
right.
If it's a historic, definitely you're 100% it needs to be restored to that historical.
Can it
Loose definition, we can get you close.
get you close?
Yeah.
Okay. So with these older homes, they're, if you're going to build it more modern, let's just use that same scenario, 400,000 square feet, it's going to cost you what? Sorry, not 400,000 square feet. With the older homes, with the 400,000 replacement cost on a 1900 house, New London, for example, Mystic, Stonington, those areas, you're going to build more modern, but is 400,000 going to be too much? Like, is that because they're not going to replace it up to 400,000? They're not going to get a check for 400,000 if it's for replacement costs. I guess that's the thing that even just consumers have a hard time understanding. Like, why is that so high? So I'm just curious from your perspective. Like, what do you see? Are you rebuilding everything at the 400, or are you going to rebuild it for whatever is going to make that house whole?
It's tough because part of it's navigating that major psychology of the client, because they did just take a major loss.
Right.
I don't know if they have their heart on setting, restoring everything to that nostalgic look, because sometimes you do get that, or if they're just, no, this is the time. This happened. Let's modernize everything.
So it's up to the client to decide.
Well, the money has got to be decided by the insurance company.
Well, no, right. The money, but the layout, it can be whatever they want.
Well, if you're starting from new, I guess they can kind of
like if this burned down to the ground, God forbid, I can put up a 3,000 square foot colonial.
Here's the problem: the insurance company might give you the money to do that. Cool. Zoning laws are different now. Your house was grandfathered in where it was at the time. Now we have to conform to new zoning laws, new building laws.
Even though the position of this house hasn't moved.
If you're going to make any changes to it, bigger or anything like that outside the original footprint, but even just like, let's say the insulation, normally you wouldn't have had that much insulation in that older home if it's never been renovated.
Right.
Now to bring that up to current R values, that's a sizable chunk of that 400,000.
Yeah.
So once we get done with drawings and building permits and everything like that, we're only building with 300 and something thousand.
Interesting. So just another side note, I think this is really cool stuff. My old house that we lived in Quaker Hill, it was a brick built in 1925. So let's assume, I don't know a brick house. This is probably ignorant on my end, but like that house probably is not going to get burnt down to the ground completely exteriorly because of the brick. But let's assume it does, or something happened to it. Is brick any more challenging to replace than, let's just say, like a standard house like this?
If brick is your exterior finish, I'm going to say it's far more labor intensive than it would be to put vinyl siding up or something.
Yeah.
Other than that,
do they still make brick houses like new?
They put brick on facades a lot still. Yeah,
but not like the entire structure.
No, you don't see. At least in New England, you don't see that too much anymore. Yeah. People like to do 8 feet up, maybe first level or something like that. More of as like an accent.
Yeah, we had 1,600 square feet. It was a Cape. It was a really cute house. We loved that house. It was just old. The entire house was brick all around, and then the upstairs was slate. So like where it peaked, it was just slate. The roof was slate. So it was like a 1.5 story house.
Yeah, nice.
And I have a picture of it over there. I'll show you. It's really unique. Can you share a story where your team turned a stressful claim into a win for the homeowner?
Sure. We had a roof leak over a kitchen, plaster ceilings. It actually almost hit the customer. They were eating dinner one night.
Wow.
And the plaster just fell.
How long ago?
This was about 2 years ago now. And the house needed some work. They probably weren't budgeting to do this remodel at this time, but it somewhat worked out. It leaked. It ruined some cabinets. It ruined enough of the cabinets that we could get all new cabinets for the kitchen. So they basically got a new kitchen, countertops and everything like that the insurance covered. And then they were able to add in a couple things they didn't have out of their own pocket, like add a dishwasher and new stove and everything like that.
Out of their own pocket or from the claim?
Out of their own pocket.
Nice.
That they might have not, we might not spring on a dishwasher, but like, hey, if the kitchen's getting done, we might as well
do the whole thing.
Right.
When, that's a stressful situation. Like 100%. even just thinking about this, like the whole, if the water floods my basement, because I think this this house, when I bought this house, I wrote the policy for myself, and I have to run a claims history. So like, and it's for myself. Like I have to run it on myself so I can prove to them that I have not put any claims in.
Sure.
I run it on this house, and there's like a $40,000 water claim. Come to find out, the guest bathroom, which is on that side of the house, flooded and literally came down here. I think I'm not sure if this basement was finished when they built it. Mm-hmm. It potentially, I think that they might have done that after. But that's got to be a stressful situation. When you deal with clients, are you having these conversations like, listen, we got this, it's going to be all right, like kind of like a consultant, or it's like you kind of just go in and make them happen? I'm just curious what the face-to-face, the dealing with the client is like.
The initial thing we want to do is allow you to take a deep breath, because we can deal with everything from the insurance companies to, if we have to get a pod and have movers take pictures of where everything was and get them in the pod, and then we can facilitate the whole project.
Yeah.
It's stressful to live through a renovation, especially one you were not planning.
Right.
So that's what we try to do for insurance jobs, for sure.
Why do you think homeowners often wait too long before calling someone like you about a problem?
That's a good question. I think a couple different things. Sometimes people see you and they think you're busy, and they know you're busy, and they think the best way to get to you is when you're not busy. That's not true. Mm-hmm. My goal as a business owner is to always be busy.
Yeah,
I have guys who have to pay bills.
Yeah.
So I like to tell people, if you have a project you want to do, get it quoted, get on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing is people wait for certain times of years that are better for them.
Yeah.
Some clients like to get things done in the summer when they're home. Some clients like to wait till the kids are back in school.
Right.
So I think you get both of those challenges.
Some people don't even know there's a problem too. Like, that's another thing. Like even with the plumbing issue that I had, so we have a well, and we have a well filtration system. So every, 6 months I order new filters and I'll pop them inside. But for some reason I forgot there's two main water, the main water and then something else that like funneled the water. I don't know, but I forgot to close one of them. So when I went to open the filter, it put all the water and it basically locked up the casing. Okay. Because all the water, there's some like, the pressure of that just kind of locked it up.
Locked it.
Yeah, so I could not get it off. So I had to call the company like, hey, come on down. Like, this is a problem that I'm having. And they fixed it and they were good. Come to find out, though, there was a bigger problem behind that. So the way where the water was going into the well pump, it was literally leaking right out or below. So they had to redo the whole thing. I knew that there was a leak, but you're just thinking like, this is just like, I could probably fix it later on. And I think that's probably another thing. Like people don't realize how big of the problem is. And like, even like that, I think that's a pretty big deal, but I'm just like,
if it's water, I would say I want to understand what it is and how bad it is and how much it's going to cost immediately. Yeah. Because water doesn't fix itself 99% of the time.
Yeah, no.
And it gets more expensive as it goes on.
It's scary stuff, man. Even like this is laminate, and every now and again, water comes from down here when it rains heavy. We have a drain right there. And
oh, do you?
Yeah, there's a drain literally right outside when you walk out. Yep. So we don't get too many issues, but whenever we get like a really heavy, crazy rainstorm, so every now and again it comes in here. So I have to like immediately like dry it off and make sure it doesn't get over, because it is, like you said, it's invasive. What is it, ADU? You mentioned that, and then I'll ask you why I'm asking that.
An accessory dwelling unit. When I first got into this industry, I noticed a lot of homes. I was working in the greater Hartford area, South Windsor. A lot of homes had in-law apartments. I didn't quite understand what it was. And then as I worked in them, it's basically a separate house within the house.
A house within the house.
Yeah. And we're talking about single family homes here, specifically when we speak about ADU. Mm-hmm. So a 3-bedroom house that would be fine for a small family. Mm-hmm. And then something happens with an aunt or grandma or another family member, and maybe you need to move them in. Maybe you have stairs in your house that's not friendly to them. So sometimes people will finish a basement and give them a small kitchenette, a small bathroom, a small living space, a small bedroom, and now they have their own dwelling. Same residence, you cannot split them up. You could build them separately on the residence.
So like I could build something back here.
You could, and zoning is hit and miss with it. I think zoning is a lot more acceptable to it now, and I think you'll see zoning laws change in the future as we see the need for them.
In favor?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's just a great need for them. One, it's expensive to put for elderly care to go into homes, and
it's very expensive.
Very expensive. I think a lot of people are opting to keep people at home just to keep the family at home in general too.
Yeah. My wife's grandmother's paying like $12,000 a month. $12,000 a month at maybe $5,000, but $12,000 seems high.
It's not.
No, maybe it is
depending on how much assisted living you need.
Yeah. No, she's 92 and she's had her bouts with the floor several times in the last probably 2 or 3 years where she's fallen and gotten hurt and doesn't even know how, can't even remember, broken ribs, broken this, broken that. And she's at a care out in Mystic, and then she has someone there living with her. So it might be $12,000 a month.
It gets expensive.
I think it's $240,000 a year.
Exactly. And so now that's where the question comes in. Well, do I do something like that, or do I spend $150,000 a year and build the ADU at my house? Maybe we turn the garage into an entire living space. It's all one floor.
Is that something that you are tapping into a little bit more?
100%.
Yeah.
I've been working with some nonprofits that are pushing for the ADUs. So there's definitely a lot of grassroots, and also the income.
Right.
If you're looking to generate income from your property and you don't necessarily own a 2-family home, you could invest into building out an ADU and somewhere on your property or within your property and start to generate income with that property.
Yeah. But it would still have to be the same address though, right? It can't be split up. Like this is 312. I can't make this 340. I mean, obviously there's a number right there.
So they might give you a separate address, like 312A, because there's another unit there, so you can have your own mailing address.
Interesting.
The only thing that could never happen is you could never sell the property as 2 different
dwellings.
Right.
Got it.
It basically, you buy this one property.
You buy this one property, but the value is, I would assume, increased because you have that second unit on there.
100%.
There's a problem. We were talking about this yesterday at work on how we write those for homeowners insurance. Like, is it written as a single policy, or is it written as a one policy with an other structure? There's a bunch of different ways to write it, especially if there's no owner occupancy. Like, if I didn't live here, how do we write the 2 dwellings on the same property? That whole thing ends up being a little sticky, because then if there's a claim, well, then which part of the policy pays out for dwelling, or sorry, which structure gets the dwelling coverage?
Right.
Coverage A, which is the my house and the structure and everything attached to it.
And that's easier to navigate if they're separated. This is a separate structure and this is the house.
Yeah.
If we put that all in the same house, are those 2 separate policies?
If we put it all in the same house, is it 2 separate policies?
If we turn this into a living space down here and you rent it out because they have their separate access, so they have egress through the windows and everything.
If I was living upstairs and someone's living down here, it would be one policy, because it's like a multifamily house at that point, where it's considered a DP3, where owner occupied level 1, and then downstairs is the.
So it's interesting. Insurance would look at it as a multifamily now. Zoning would just look at it as a single family with an ADU.
Really?
Yeah. So I think all these different entities are going to have to talk.
I was just about to say,
and hopefully we can get them all to the table to agree on this, because there's a huge need for it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I got to imagine. I mean, especially with, I think of California, for example, the fires that just happened last year, or this year, I guess last year going into this year, or is it the beginning of this year?
They usually have one every year.
Yeah, the one that wiped out 72,000 homes. Oh, sorry. It wiped out 16,000 homes because of those fires in LA. And I think as of like 3 months ago, only like 4 or 5 houses have been rebuilt.
Yeah. I actually was reading an article about ADUs in California, and California has very, very strict building laws and zoning laws.
Which is why they haven't moved really quickly on the houses to be built.
I think you're going to see them push for ADUs, and a lot more ADUs out there quicker.
Does that present an uncomfortable situation for a homeowner though? Like,
it's not for everybody.
Yeah. Because I think, as you're saying, the only reason why I would do something like that here is for my mom, my in-laws, my mom, my wife's grandmother. Like I would never build something to rent out. Maybe I should, but I wouldn't.
So, yeah, and it doesn't always have to be an income generating thing, but let's be realistic. How many young kids get pregnant and now you have to deal with that as a parent quickly? Maybe they need a place to stay, or they get in an argument with their parents or guardians.
Yeah.
And you need to have somewhere.
That's fair.
To stay.
That's fair. What do you say to homeowners deciding between remodeling versus building an ADU?
Definitely on the space we're going to be looking at. If we have to do major work to make this space livable, it might be cheaper to build. And also how comfortable they are. We all love our family.
Yeah.
But do you want your family under the same roof, or is it nice to have a separated space with them?
Definitely.
If it is family. If it's an income space, I'd say for safety reasons, I would definitely want them in a separate space. So, we talk about the needs of the customer.
What does always forward mean to you in both business and in life?
Regardless of what's going on, the path is forward. And that forward path isn't always linear. I took off a piece of trim at a customer's house yesterday. I let them know that it's wet. I anticipate on running into rot.
Yeah.
Inform them that I believe the bottom 3 feet of their roof is rotted due to a lack of underlayment. We were there to do probably 5 or 6 different tasks. We might need to put one of those tasks on the back burner to dedicate those funds to the rot. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm not running away from you. The wants, just the needs had to take over the wants list, and we're going to get through it. We're going to move forward. We're going to get through it. Yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, it puts your timeline off of what you wanted, but the only way is forward.
Yeah. Real quick on the topic of roofs. I'm seeing a massive shift in the industry for insurance in how they're determining eligibility for coverage based off of the age of the roof. Now, I have said this, and I don't think people think I'm serious, but that window is shrinking faster than I could ever imagine.
15-year roofs.
5-year roofs.
That's insane.
5 years.
You would
8
have
years,
to show me
10 years. Yeah.
Engineer or building professional that tells you that they're failing.
Now, it's so with insurance, obviously they have to go through the Department of Insurance to get rate and move things along, if you will, right? To avoid discrimination, which is a bad practice, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
I think that these carriers are changing guidelines because they can't get the rate that they need. And there's been a lot, and to the, the credit of the industry, there have been those, it's again, no shots to anybody, but I personally have had calls from clients saying, hey, this roofer came to my house and said, hey, call your insurance company and say that
you have wind
damage. And they've done it. And boom, brand new roof, $15,000, whatever it is. You pay your deductible, they get the check, you pocket a little cash. So I will say that carriers are getting smart to that. I think at some point they'll probably meet somewhere in the middle. But 15 years is probably the average.
It's interesting because if you were to go look at roofing products, none of them are 15 years.
Right.
The least you would find is 20.
Right.
And if you were to go to a standing seam metal roof, I would make the argument cosmetically it might not last for 20, 30 years, but that metal will last for 50.
Right. And so I think it's hard because I'm running into this all the time. My house was built in 2017. Like in 2 years, by definition, like I can think off the top of my head, 3 or 4 carriers are saying your roof is old. I think that the carriers are going to have to adjust
that criteria of what they consider old
or allow for self-retention, saying, hey, listen, everything else is covered but your roof, or we're going to do actual cash value on the roof, or something.
Agreed. Because replacing your roof every 5 years is just not
every 10 years. Like, you pulled up to my house. That roof doesn't look like, maybe a little, not, there's no trees. I'm just direct sunlight.
That's one thing I will say to customers. We already know you're about to face this battle and you're going to face this battle.
Yeah.
You have to be proactive on the trees. Even if it's just, they're not posing a threat to falling, just the amount of shade they provide, what drops on your roof, the mold the moss starts to grow. And then your roof looks older than it is. It looks worse than it is. And it is starting to decay to some degree.
Right. And people, then this is the other thing that I run into. Like, there's people that are buying houses that can't even afford to live in the house. And then you add this on that. And then, the breakdowns of mechanics and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm in that kind of mindset of like, hey, listen, I'm never, first of all, for the record, I'm never going to tell nobody not to buy a house.
Agreed.
I'm not the realtor. You deal with the realtor. What I am going to tell you is, hey, that roof looks old. Like, this is what you're going to run into with the insurance carriers. Now, I have 12 to 15 different homeowners options. There's other agencies that have 30. Not every carrier is going to have the same, line in the sand. Like, but I do think that window is shrinking for sure.
And part of that's the cost of homes. People are having to use the maximum loan. So there's no wiggle room when it comes to, hey, we have $20,000 and we should replace the mechanicals upon moving in.
Yep.
Yeah, we're already maxed out.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of that.
So it's just going to be an interesting landscape moving forward as we kind of continue to go on. How's the mindset, kind of going back to the always forward, help you when a project gets messy or something in your life kind of? I had a kid yesterday, one of my good friends, Troy, come on, and he was just like, man, for the first time in my life, I had a why me moment. And I'm like, what do you mean? He kind of went into some details of like what was happening during his life at that time. And he had to be like, man, why me? Mindset, I think, is 95. You actually posted something on socials. I was sitting around last night or maybe 2 nights ago, and I was like, man, yeah, I had this thought. It was like 90% of everything you do in life is consistency. The other 10% is discipline. And I was like, and I had a chance. I didn't make that up. I think Collin might have said that. I think he might have said that. So I wasn't going to coin that, but like, I think mindset in life, in business, I think I kind of live life almost like a business, which is just weird. Like I like everything that I do, like this is now turning into a business. Obviously I got the insurance and, obviously the family's a little bit different, but I operate in that way. And one of the biggest things for me, having come back to my company that I'm at now, I had a mindset shift. I had to choose that if I'm going to work here, I need to do the activities that are going to make me successful. I can't sit here and be like, oh, well, the carriers are shifting their roof guidelines and the auto insurance market is crap and I can't find things for life insurance. Like, I literally had to tell myself, if you're going to come back here, you have to commit. You can't just be like, oh man, just be reactive to things. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to be, proactive.
Always progressing. And that's why it's so important to study what's going on in your field and respective field around you. I have to learn what's going on in the insurance industries to be able to guide my customers through insurance claims, or maybe say, hey, if you guys get the money, we should probably go out of pocket for this one. Maybe it's not worth it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Why do you say that? Curious.
Some people have a $5,000 deductible on this job. My only cost is $2,000.
Bang.
That just doesn't make sense.
And a lot of people don't realize, and I've seen it. So my recommendation to most people is carry a $2,500 deductible.
Agreed.
Because in most cases, if you have $1,000 deductible and you have $2,500 worth of damage or $3,000 worth of damage, you should pay out of pocket, because not only did you file that claim, insurance companies rate based off of severity and frequency. So when they forecast insurance for the future years, they don't look at what you did today. They're trying to predict what's going to happen. So if you're putting a bunch of claims in for $1,200, $1,500, $3,000, they're saying, listen, we're offering you $2,000 rates per year, but each year you're using our insurance. Well, this is likely going to happen time and time again. So they put you in this 5-year window Now, if you have a bigger claim, it's like I tell people all the time, it's for catastrophes, like for the $40,000 claims, the water damage, fires, stuff like that. And I'm glad you said, let's walk away from using the insurance, because that helps. That actually helps people in the long run. When you as a consumer, you own your home?
No, I rent.
No, you rent. So, or even let's just use renter's insurance. If you put a claim in for $500 of spoiled food because of a power outage, you're going to pay for that $500 in the next 5 years.
Sure, they're going to get it back.
They're going to get it back.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that you kind of steer your clients that way, because it helps us as agents. It helps. I wish more people did that.
Well, we got to remember, these people were not expecting to drop a deductible, and they're going to have to drop that deductible. Mm-hmm. So if you weren't planning on spending $4,500 this week.
Right. Keep me honest here. They're paying. So there's a couple of carriers that I'll see that, like, let's just say they have a $40,000 claim and the deductible is $2,500. That deductible comes off of the claim. There's a couple carriers that do that.
It might, and they might get it back at the end too.
So, okay,
because I know a lot of insurance companies want to make sure you're doing the work.
Right. Right.
It's very easy to get a check from the insurance companies, and that's that.
we're gonna cut the easy part out. Do you find homeowners connect with your always forward philosophy? When you come into my house and I have a situation, is the lack of a better term, I think when I think of always forward philosophy, I think that that's a warm and fuzzy feeling, like you can radiate to people. Do the people you work with understand that about you?
Yeah. I'm not in the business to sell construction jobs. I'm not in the business to sell remodeling. I'm in the business to sell my company.
Yep.
So I want you to like me. I want us to have a good relationship.
Sure.
If we have a good relationship, that trust is there. That's going to make everything 10 times smoother for us as workers and for you as the homeowner and consumer. I think that's why I don't go too crazy posting personal stuff on Facebook. I try to keep it the always forward and then the business stuff, because it does tie into each other. They'll follow us in our business, and then they might follow my personal page. And
so you have your page, and then you have the company page, and you're posting.
Always forwards my personal.
Gotcha.
But I might share it to the company page once in a while.
Gotcha. You kind of just you drip it out there. Believe it or not, having now I spend a ton of time in content. I literally probably will spend 4 hours a day in content, understanding, seeing what other people are doing. There's a personal piece that ties to the brand that people appreciate. Because it humanizes people. I can post about insurance and say the roof things and then life insurance stuff and all that, but sometimes people just want to hear you be like, look, yo, your rates are high. Like, just be a little bit normal. Like, listen, I get it. Your rates are high. My rates are high. The economy stinks. Like, people like when you humanize. And I think with social, sometimes people try to be too perfect, and the presentation, if you will, has to be spot on. Like, and listen, I'm one of them. I have this space. Like, I've created this, but I knew that I wanted to do things a little bit different and kind of continue to grow this podcast in a way that would allow me to, by having this space. But you don't need to have this space to have a podcast. We did it at the library last time. I was doing it at different places. So, but my point is that when you can humanize yourself, which I think social media allows you to be at 1,000 different places at once. Yeah, you find more success down the road.
Yeah, and we post pictures of our work. We'll post pictures of the not so good high end work too. And I don't want to say quality goes down, but not everybody has that budget for the Mercedes Benz. We might be working on the Toyota Camry in this one. Yep, and that's realistic. Yeah, that would be my budget.
Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly.
So it's good for people to know that.
What's one thing every homeowner should check in their house this week to avoid a bigger problem later?
Ooh, this week.
especially as we're kind of coming out of the really hot months.
Yeah, I'd be wanting to check that furnace or boiler because these companies are probably starting to get their winter service calls and they're going to get busy. And to avoid catastrophic failures, we like to do preventative maintenance.
Yeah, you guys do that? You guys will
no, but we can put you in contact with the right people. Yeah. But mechanical systems are one of your biggest ones, especially if you have an older one, because a lot of times I'll get a call that says, "Hey, Collin, we need to put in a new furnace, but it doesn't fit into the house." And now I become involved.
So you have to put a hole in the wall or something?
You either put a hole in the wall, pull the door out, make something, and we might be able to prolong that with a simple maintenance.
When you have to do that, what's the customer response? Like, nah, you're not doing that? Or like, okay, here we go.
No, it's kind of, you're not getting it in the house through that way. So
regardless,
it's got to go.
That's crazy. If someone's about to start a remodel, what's the very first conversation they should have with their contractor?
If you have a contractor you already work with, cool. If not, I would almost interview contractors, if you will. I'd get 3 bids, find the contractor that you feel the most comfortable, that explains everything clearly to you. And then it should be a smoother process from there. We should be discussing the budget versus the wants and the needs.
What advice do you give homeowners who feel overwhelmed about where to start?
Take a deep breath. Talk to your contractor about the process. If we're only working on framing, we don't need to be stressing out about floors right now. Let's slow down. Let's go piece by piece.
Yeah. Okay. 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up here. What's the toughest lesson you've learned so far as an entrepreneur in this space?
It doesn't matter how many hours you have to put in. It's 100% necessary when you're first starting out until you can find people to fill those roles.
What do you mean?
I think people a lot of times say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur so I can have my own schedule. I think in the first couple of years, it's a little unrealistic because you're going to wear 3 to 4 hats.
Yeah.
I think eventually you'll get that balance you're looking for, but we have to be able to put in the work for a while.
What do you want people to know about you and your business?
I am not here to make $1 million off of you.
Just me on the podcast.
It's expensive. I get it. Life's expensive right now. Yeah. Building materials are expensive right now. I like to pay my guys a good wage so they can support their families and lifestyle. So I totally understand. Please feel free to reach out and go over different options. We could look at different materials. We can look at doing this in different phases. If you don't have all the money right now, there's other ways we can do this.
What sets you apart from, you mentioned, hey, call a couple contractors, 1, 2, 3, get different bids. What sets you apart? If you're in that, 3 or 4 bids, what's going to set you apart from?
I'm going to sell you on me. I'm going to sell you on me and my crew. There's going to be things we're going to do on the job site that has nothing to do with work, whether it's bringing in the garbage cans or making sure the mail's in or, anything you need. Oh, hey, this door is a little loose down here. Yeah, somebody's going to jump on that. We're here for you.
Sweet. Listen, Collin Potter, welcome back again. Like I said, I think that trades are, and you said it earlier, like even what we were talking about, Tyler, but they are becoming more prevalent, especially in the media space, especially with as people are staying in their homes longer. I think that's probably good for you and your business. Obviously, we talked about the ADUs, building, new construction. But I think when people start to see you, especially on the social media space, they'll value the work that you do. Where can people find you?
So we're on Facebook. We have a website, potterquality.org, and you can find us on Google.
All right, listen, guys, make sure you subscribe to the Open Exchange podcast on Paulie M on YouTube. Go follow Collin on his socials and his website. Does great work. I appreciate your time today, bro.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.